Hi, this is Everett, Everett's Watercolors. Welcome to my studio. And today we're going to have another watercolor demonstration. I'm, I'm broadcasting live on from my studio to YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitch, and later on to Instagram. And in my studio today with my wife, Gloria.
Hello, everyone.
And she'll be monitoring the broadcast and also the chat room. Chat room's live. And if anyone has a question or a comment during the broadcast, put them down there and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Even after the broadcast, you can always add a comment to the description below. And again, I'll read that and get back to you as soon as I can also. And give me a like and a thumbs up. And give me a subscribe if you see my channel. They help with my ratings. And recommend me to your friends. I'll be back again next week on Thursday. So today, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a demonstration. I'm going to do, if you've seen my announcement there, I'm going to do a sunset with reflective colors, reflections of the sun. Now, number one, doing the sky, this is like a skyscape with a little bit of water in the foreground. A skyscape is a little bit tricky sometimes. It can be real simple and complicated. I'm going to try to, sunset sky is a real challenge. And it always doesn't work out the same way every time. And that's kind of make it interesting because every painting is unique. And it's like a one-time only. And sometimes it'll come out nice. And sometimes it'll come out better than you expected. So I'm going to go to my painting table and let me get started on painting the sunset and water reflections. Go overhead. Okay. All right. Well, last weekend I was looking for photographs, and of course it was a muggy, cloudy day, and the sun was not shining. But I did take a few photographs, so I'm going to use this a little bit. It's going to help me get a little bit of foreground and some middle ground parts of the painting. But the sky was kind of pale. It was just overcast, and the sun was not out at all. But this is going to help me get started. This helps me in the foreground. Then I went to another location and took another photograph on the next day, and the sun was starting to come out, but again, it wasn't a real good, what I expected to be a dynamic sunrise or even a sunset. But there was some light in the sky, a few clouds, but again, a very overcast day. So 2 days in a row, I just had overcast days. And sometimes it would make an interesting painting, dramatic paintings and things like that. But I'm going to use this, maybe a cloud here, and this little bit of sun shining through, maybe give me a little inspiration on that. So they're just photographs of my reference photographs. This was a photograph I took out of a painting book of mine that I took, and this is kind of what I'm going to try to do today. Going to get a gradated squash with the sunset colors and then reflections down here in the water. So that's kind of my goal today, is something like this. I don't copy what's there. I just use it as a reference. Now here's my design. Here's my design drawing, and I've got it kind of in a portrait. I'm going to do a landscape. I'm going to turn the landscape around like this. But basically, what I have is I'm going to use that photograph I showed in the beginning of a landscape. I got some trees here in the background. I got some water here in the foreground, and a little bit of grass and a tree over here on the right. And the sky is going to be over 2/3 of the painting is going to be sky. And the sun's going to be coming right up in here. A little bit of sunshine right here. All right, so that's my design plan. And so let me go over my equipment and some of my palette. I played around with some of the colors. Again, in the sunset, I'm going to use blue, which up here I got Cerulean Blue and Ultramarine Blue up here at the top of my palette. Then I'm going to use a little bit of Quinacridone Violet, which is a purple or violet, light violet color. And then I'm going to go down to Alizarin Crimson right here. And then this is my orange, deep orange right here. I'll use that for the part of the sunrise, sunset. And then I have another deep yellow, which has got kind of a lighter orange flavor. And then I've got over here Quinacridone Gold, which is even a better yellow. So I may be getting into that more. Quinacridone Gold over here. And for the trees and some of the foreground, I'll be using the down here in the corner, I've got Hooker's Green down in the right-hand corner at the bottom. Hooker's Green, a little bit of burnt sienna right here. So, and burnt sienna will help me. And I was playing around with some of the shadows, across the colors to kind of get a little idea here. So that's kind of a little playing around with some of the color schemes, but I'm going to use this color scheme here for the sunset, going from a cool color down to a warm color. So I got the cool colors up here, the blues and the purples and violets, and then I'm going to work it down into the warmer colors, the reds and the oranges and the yellows. So from cool to warm colors. Okay, I'll put this aside. Okay, I've transferred my drawing here to a quarter sheet of Gemini watercolor paper. It measures, I got 15 inches long and it's 11 inches high. And I'll move this up here so you can see the whole. Here's the right side. Here's the left side over here. You can see my hand right here. So that, and I've got the landscape in here, the sky is up here, and a little tree over on the right. Okay. All right. So that's how I'm going to get started. The first thing I'm going to do is use my brushes now. I've got my silver brush Hake's, which is a large, the medium, and the small. So I'll be using those to get the wash down. Those three brushes right there. And then I'm going to use the number 16 round. Probably do the background, which will be the trees and the foreground, the grass and so forth. So those are brushes I'm going to use today. This is a synthetic number 16 round from Holbein, and the silver brush Hake brushes, large, medium, and small. Okay, and I got the colors already spread out here on my on my palette. And first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to wet the sky. So just go into use the large Hake, and I'm just going to wet the sky area. And I'm going to go right on down to the horizon line, basically. So I think I'll do the sky first, and then I'll put in the. I may work it both ways. Let's see. Now what I do here is I wet the sky, and I move the water around so I get an equal distribution of moisture on the paper. And I think what I'll do again, this is somewhat experimental. As I say, this is a one-time. Every painting becomes a uniquely one-time. Let's see how it works out. And I've got it taped down so it doesn't move around too much on me. Okay, I got it taped down with the artist tape. Okay, there's a shine on the paper, and I want to make sure it's equally spread, making sure it's equally wet, equal moisture. Okay. All right. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start at the top. I'm going to start out with the Ultramarine Blue. I'll use the middle-size Hake brush. And I'm going to load it with a good quantity here, but it's going to be like a middle value, not too dark. I can always darken up later on. So I go across here, get one swipe in. Might want to go a little bit darker than that. Okay. Okay, then I'm going to pick up a little bit of Cerulean Blue. Come down and get a little bit lighter blue on this, a little bit lighter. So the sky gets a little bit lighter as it comes down toward the horizon line. Okay, that's my first kind of layer of blue. I might want to go back in and darken it, but right now just leave that alone. Now I'm going to use the same brush now. I'm going to pick up a little bit of Quinacridone Violet, just a little bit. And I'm going to come across there with, these are like clouds, or they could be color in the sky. From the clouds, it could also be, the sun is shining up into the sky, and it's going to give you all kinds of colors up there. So I'll leave that alone, just a little bit of color up in the sky. Okay, now I'm going to start coming down with the yellow. So I'm going to pick up a little bit of this now. I'm going to change brushes. I used the middle brush for cool colors. Now I'm going to pick up another brush. This is a smaller one. I'm going to use that to pick up the warm colors. So I'm going to pick up a little bit of this Quinacridone Gold. Beautiful, beautiful yellow. And I'm going to go right here next to the top here. Get that right below the purple. I might put some of that down in here. I might put some of that down here in the water. the water also. Get the water kind of reflection started. Okay, now I'm going to pick up the orange. This is yellow orange in the palette. I'm going to pick that up. Now that's going to be the bright color across the sky. It'll also be down in reflection also in the water. Okay, I think I'll continue on with that yellow up here, a little bit of orange, up here, a little bit of orange here more. And I think I'll pick up a little bit more orange, get a little bit darker. Now, watercolor is going to dry a lot lighter, about 35% lighter when you put it down. So you have to really kind of think about how dark. Now, this is kind of light right now, so I may want to go back in and add in some more pigment. So I've got the first layer in there, so I'm going to go in and pick up a little more. I'm going to do one more. To be really smart with this, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to dry the paint first, and then when I go in for the second layer, it'll be a much more effective. So I'm going to dry this out. So I'm going to get the blow dryer, and let me dry the painting. So I went over the colors here. I've got started with a blue at the top, which is ultramarine blue, and a little bit of cerulean blue at the top, and then moved into next warmer, not too warm, but then I went into the Quinacridone Violet, the next color, and then I went down with the yellow, which is the Quinacridone Gold, and then finally I went into the yellow orange. Now I'm going to go in much darker with this, but I want to get this first layer in to give me a base color. And as I said, skies are very, they're very interesting to me. I love painting skies. Now this is a little bit different today, a little bit more unusual, or different. I would say different, because I'm trying to get a variated color. I'm trying to get not only a graded wash, but a graded color wash, going from cool to warm. So a gradated wash from cool at the top down to warm down here on the horizon. And then the reflection is going to be the same in the water. I'm going to start with the warm. You don't see much of the top sky down here because of the size. So I got a nice light color here, and that's a nice base color to start. And when you start out with a painting like this, you want to start out with light colors, and you don't want to get too much. You don't want to get too much paint on the paper. You just want to get a nice basic first layer, and then we can go in and modify it as much as we want. These colors are nice and soft, and I'm trying to give the feeling of that soft morning glow in the morning, where the sky is just coming up and the sun's just popping through the clouds. Also get a feeling of the sunlight. Okay, now I'm going to test with the back of my hand, and if it feels cool, then I know it's dry. It's a little bit, still a little bit. If it's cool, which means it's still a little bit damp. Now this is nice and warm. Down here, the back of my hand. Okay, all right. Okay, it's nice and dry. And so that's my first wash. Okay, the first wash. Getting the base coat down. Okay, now what I think I'll do is I'll go ahead and put in some, a little darker. I think a little darker I can go in the top. and then come down a little bit. So I'm going to get another wash, and what I think I'll do is rather than put more water on, I think I'm just going to pick up more paint. So I don't want the paper to get any wetter than it already was. So I'm just going to pick up a little more pigment on the Hake brush, the large, middle-sized Hake. And I'm going to go across the top now, and I'm going to put another little layer in there. Make it just a little bit darker at the top. Now I'm going to pick up some more of that cerulean, and then kind of come down with that a little bit, just a touch. And I'm going to overlap some of that color I had there before. I want some of it to peek through. And then I'm going to pick up just a little touch of that Quinacridone Violet. And give the hint of some clouds up in the sky. And soften it up. I put some water back in the brush to soften up that mark just a little bit. I want to put some streaks up here to show that there was clouds, and that the clouds were illuminated by the by the sun. So they're going to have different values. They're going to have lights and darks, different colors, but they're still going to be soft colors. They're not going to be dark because of the sunshine. Okay. And what I think I'll do down here is I'll pick up. I'm going to pick up a little more. Let's see, a little more yellow. What I'm going to do now is switch to the warm brush, which is the small Hake. I'll use the warm colors. Pick up a little more of this Quinacridone Gold. That's a golden yellow. It's really a golden. It's a warm yellow. So it's I like this one when I want to do a sunrise or a sunset. I want the warm sky colors. I want that warm glow in the sky.
We have a hello from Cairo, Egypt.
Oh, wonderful.
Welcome.
Well, hello, welcome to see you. Thank you. If this is your first time, to make sure you subscribe to my channel and also give me a like and thumbs up. And if you have any questions while we're going along, I'm painting this here. Painting the sky here with a reflection in the water. And I'm going to be careful now. What I want to do now is go back with a little more of that, switching back to the brush with the Quinacridone Violet on. Now that the violet mixed in with that yellow now is going to give me a gray, which will give me I want a little bit of cloud motion up here, a little bit of clouds up here in the sky. Trying to be gentle, make them nice and soft.
You have the compliment, like your painting.
Thank you. That's wonderful. Now I want to get some a little more drama in here. I'm going to pick up that orange now and get a little bit more contrast here in the sunlight. So down here it's going to be really bright. And what I want to do now is I'm going to take a tissue. I'm going to pick up some of the paint. Okay, and that's going to be my sun there, a real light area, because it's covered. The sun is covered up with a cloud. So I just want to have just a hint of the sun coming through, peeping through there. And so I'll go around it just a hair, just a little bit. It'll just show a little bit of indication there's a sunshine coming through there. Okay. And I'm wet the brush a little bit. Now I'm going to smooth some of these out. These are clouds. These are colored clouds because of the sun. Now I'm going to take a smaller brush if I can find it. There we go. Okay. Here, now this is number 8 round synthetic brush. I'm going to pick up a little bit of Alizarin Crimson, and I'm going to put a little bit of red in here to even show even more highlights of warmness around the sun. And so these marks I'm making is really the sun hitting the clouds, and they're warming them up with different colors. The sun is so bright, but when it hits a cloud, it's going to change the colors from oranges to reds to yellows. So these low-lying clouds here in the background are going to have the effect of the sunlight. And I soften out the edges a little bit. Let's see. And I think I'll just leave that alone for right now. Okay, all right, now I'm going to move down into the water a little bit. Okay, well, I'm going to kind of repeat the colors down here. Take a little bit of this. Take a little bit of this Quinacridone Gold, the yellow, and bring that down here into the water. Now I want to take a little bit of that orange. Now this is the reflection part that's coming down into the water. And I'm going to kind of fade that off, use some more, a little bit of yellow over here, and kind of fade that off here to the side. And more yellow down at the bottom. And I'm going to take a touch more of the orange. So I'm counting on it's going to dry a little bit lighter when it dries. It's wet now, so when it dries, it'll be a lighter value. So I got to compensate for that in watercolor. A little more orange up here in the sky. This is the most dramatic part of the painting right here. Is it right around the sun? Okay. All right. I'm going to let this dry. Then I go ahead and put the landscape part in, the trees and the background. So let me go ahead and dry this. So far, I like what's going on. It's the sky. It's got lots of color in it, but it's very subtle. I didn't want to make a dramatic sky. I want to kind of make a nice, soft feeling of the sun this morning. As I said, I didn't have a good reference photograph of a good sun because it wasn't cooperating. I had a cloudy day. So, but I had some pictures in my camera, and also I had a couple art books I looked at. Just kind of did a little research and come up with some plans here on how to paint this. Okay, now I check the back of my hand. If it feels cool, if it feels warm, and it's dry. Okay. All right. So now I'm going to go ahead and put in the landscape, which I think it'll make it become more believable as far as a painting is concerned. So I'm going to use a little bit of good old burnt sienna down at the bottom with a touch of ultramarine blue, kind of darken it up a little bit, and add a dash of Hooker's green. So these are going to be. What we do now? I'm going to put these tree lining over here. Go ahead. I'm going to go ahead and put the basic shape in, and I may go back in and put a little more color on it. But I want to get the basic shape in. When I paint or when I design my painting, what I try to do first of all is get a nice, interesting shape, and then I work on what color I'm going to use to bring that out, to bring the painting out. Here I'm using. I'll get a little darker on this, but right now, because these are backlit, the sun's behind this row of trees, so it'll be darker. But for right now, just getting a baseline, a line of color in here, a shape, a basic shape. Okay. Okay, then there's another group of trees which are a little further back, so I can put a little more from aerial perspective. These are behind, so it'll have a little more blue in them and a little bit lighter value, because these are way off in the background. This little row of trees here. So there's several groups of trees, several layers. So this is the furthest back layer of trees. It'll go up here to this point. Again, I'm just trying to identify the shape I want here.
We have the question
Yeah.
that came in a little bit late and missed the beginning part, so I wanted to verify that you were doing wet on wet for the sky.
Yes.
And the water.
Yes, that's a good question. The question was whether I used wet on wet to start the sky. Yes, in this case here, because it's such a large area and I wanted it to be a smooth texture, I didn't want to have a lot of lumps and bumps and brush marks, that I put wet. So I wet the paper first with I didn't really soak it down. I just put an equal layer of paint or water across the paper, and that helps the paint spread very easily. A little wet on wet. I started out I wet the whole sheet of paper, and as I started painting, I added the paint to the sections.
And you can always watch the replay to see how the beginning was started.
That's a good point. The replay will be right after I do this. It'll be available on my right on my channel, Everett Watercolors, on Facebook, and also on YouTube. And it'll be also on LinkedIn. It'll be available for replay, and then you can look at it again and pick up on anything you missed. And I have a lot of other videos on there to look at. So. And if you subscribe to my channel and give me a like and a thumbs up, your subscription will get you'll be notified of my next video that comes along. I'll be here next week.
Every Thursday.
Yeah.
2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Every Thursday I've been here. I've been here for the last 2.5 years. I've been here every Thursday at 2 p.m. 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, every Thursday. Now I've added a little bit. I'm picking up a little bit of blue now, adding to this darker. I'm going to make this. I got my shape I want in here. Now I'm going to go ahead and add in the darker value on top of this, because this is a dark area here, because the sun is behind this row of trees, so it's going to be darker. there's no sunlight coming through. These are solid. So by putting that blue mixed in with that dark green, it's going to make it an even darker value, and that also give me a. So my first pass was just to get a nice shape and a nice contour going. That's all I wanted it for. Now I can go back in and add in a little more value, darker. I could have added other colors. I could have changed the colors also, but I didn't want to. I want to leave it dark. Okay, let that one dry a little bit. Now this back one here, I'm going to leave it just about as light as it is. I might darken up slightly. So I'll pick up a little more of that blue. Very light, and I'm going to go back in here and just add a little bit of texture. In other words, I don't want to have just a solid. I'm going to break it up just a little lights and darks maybe to show that there's individual groupings of trees back here, but they're way in the background.
And just for others watching, it's 21:30 in Cairo right now.
Wow, in Cairo, 21:30. Well, that's still a good evening, and see we're 2:30. We're 2:30 here on the east coast of the United States in Virginia. Now I'm going to add now to separate these two here. I'm going to put a little more. Now this one I'm going to put a little more color here, just to separate those two areas, because there's another group of trees here that's a little bit forward. But I'm going to make these a little bit not as dark as this side over here. So I've got a variety. I got a light, medium, and dark value of these groups of trees, and that would keep them separate as far as groupings. Okay. Then there's finishing off over here. I've got I'm going to put a big tree over on this side. It's coming forward now. I'm coming a little bit forward now in the landscape. So I'm going to put a big tree over here on the right side. And that would kind of keep the eyes inside the painting. Okay. And this water kind of goes back behind this little row of trees here. And they're coming forward, so I'll make them a little bit warmer color. Instead of the blue, I'm now moving into the greens. Green is a little bit warmer than blue, so it's a warmer color. So as I come forward in the painting, the colors get a little bit warmer. So again, I'm kind of blocking this in, and I may go back in and add some more color on top of this. But right now, just kind of blocking it in, getting a start here. Okay. Now there's another. Now in here, this is the meadow. I'm looking at the meadow, and so this here is a bunch of tall grass. And I can pick up some burnt sienna and mixed in with a little bit of that yellow gold, and put that in here. again, I'm going to block this shape in, and then I'll go back and modify slightly if I want to, make it lighter, depending on where I am on the landscape. So now I put a little bit of burnt sienna mixed in with a little bit of that Quinacridone Gold to give it a nice warm, because I'm coming forward now, so the colors are going to be warmer as I come forward in the landscape. So I'm blocking in the shapes here, blocking in this shape. And sometimes I'll leave a little areas open that I won't paint on. That kind of separates the layers a little bit. So I'm going to leave a little, and that way the sun is shining on the ground there. It'll be shimmering. That light's going to hit the ground behind this meadow before those lower trees. There's a field back there way off in the distance, or additional meadow land back there. So I really like that. I really like the sun there. It kind of turned out pretty nice. I really like what happened there. I haven't had a chance to check my own painting yet. And as I say, I'm just blocking in a basic shape here of what I want to show. And I'm kind of doing some variations here. I don't want to have the same marks. I want to have a different edge. Am I in the way? Okay, thank you. Okay, let me see how we come up here. Okay, I'll let that one dry a little bit. Okay, then I got this forward one here, and I'm going to see if I can lighten that up even more. See, I put a little bit of yellow, put a little yellow ochre in with that mix. Maybe a little bit of orange. So what I'm doing now, this is even closer, so I'm getting a little bit warmer. A little bit warmer value. This is all meadow grass, so it's going to be tall weeds. I'll mix a little bit of orange in with this to get a little bit lighter, a little bit warmer value here, and we're in almost in the foreground, not quite in the foreground, right here in the middle ground. But I want to separate that color with the one behind to make it a different value. Actually, a different color. This is warmer, that's a little bit cooler back there. And you realize the temperature of a painting, or temperature of a color, is all relative. One color can be warmer than another, depending on where it is on the color wheel. Red is warmer than orange, and red is warmer than violet. So there's all kinds of ways of looking at a color, from looking at the primary colors and then moving from there. So put a little more orange in this coming into the foreground here, because I got a lot of orange in the sky, so orange in the meadow here makes sense. That it comes down and hits the grass, reflected off the water. So a little more orange in this area here makes a lot of sense. And I didn't have a good reference to go by, so I'm really just using my imagination and a little bit of artistic license. But I want the colors to be different and warmer as I come forward. Okay, now the foreground here is the only foreground I have, and I'm just going to put some color down here. Just take this number 16 round that I'm using to mix paints with, and just kind of put a color here at the bottom. And this is really an earth tone. I'm just going to go ahead and put a little begin. Again, I try to get a shape in there first. So I start out by putting a shape in there, a baseline. Okay, and there's a big old tree. There's a little tree here, but there's a big old tree over here. So I can go ahead and put that in. I'm going to use a little bit of hooker's green. And I'm going to mix a little bit of Quinacridone Gold in with that. That'll lighten that green up a little bit. And that's a different green than anything I have in my palette. I have palette greens, but I like to mix my greens to make them a little more realistic, a little more believable. Ah, it's beautiful. So this tree here, off to the edge, right edge, has lots of branches on it, and they were all green as I took the photograph. And remember, this one was in the. Here's a photograph here. I'm using this here. You can see here it was all evergreen tree, but it was nice and dark. But the lighting was very bad. I had very little. It was overcast day, so the light was not very bright. But you know, when you paint a subject like this, you can choose whatever color scheme you want. You can have make it warm, make it cool, make a variety. That's really my advice is to make a variety. And also this cool green now against that orange and yellow is going to pop out too. So it's going to show up very nicely. But this is just this is blocking the right side, so when you look into you come into the painting, you don't go off to the side. Over here, you don't go off to the side. So these are very important elements in a painting. Is what you put on the ends and edges to decorate the painting. You want to have interesting shapes, and the purpose is that they block the view from moving outside the painting. You want to keep the painting. You want to keep the eye inside the painting. Now I'm going to go right up here. I'm going to make this really a large tree because it's pretty big in comparison to the rest of the landscape. And that makes the landscape even further away because the bigger this tree is, these here smaller trees are going to look, even though they're large trees, they're going to look way off in the distance now because of this large tree here in the foreground. So that's part of aerial perspective. That the sizes of things change as you go off into the distance. And so this large tree here gives you the size comparison with those trees there in the background, and that makes them look like they're way off. Makes them way off in the distance. Okay. Now I'm not finished with the foreground here. I got some more things to put in here. What I'm going to do now is put in. Some grass. I'm going to put in the weeds are growing in here, so I'm going to go ahead and put in some. So right here, this is where the sun's coming in. I want the eye to be attracted there, so I'm going to make a little more directional lines here in that position, so that even the marks here you got your eye moving toward the where I want your eyes to go and impact. The impact area is here. In this area, so I got your eyes moving that way. So these brush strokes that I'm doing now is to also direct your eye into the center of the painting. So again, I'm just putting in some basic shapes to get started. Then I'll go back in and darken some and add some more texture here. Now this is about the only part I have texture in this section of the painting. These grass, tall grass, and weeds. Again, I'm going over. Now I'm painting over that brown now, and that darkens that up even more. So I want the foreground to be darker too. So by layering it with another color, that darkens up the foreground. Okay, now let me take a stop here. I think what I'll do is let me dry what I've got here real quickly. And I'll go back and do some final touches. So what I've done, I've just got a really a basic lay-in of the colors and shapes that I want to have in the painting. And my next move is to go in and do a little detail. maybe a little enhance a few areas. But I'm not going to do much more than maybe add a little more color here and there, and to knock down some of the areas that are maybe distracting. Again, I check with the back of my hand. Everything's nice and dry. Okay. Okay, so let me start with the sky area. Ooh. I think what I'll do now is I'm going to really add some more orange in there. I'm going to go right in here. Right, really make this really dominant here. Orange color going in through to the sun. Okay, then I'm going to pick up a little bit of that Alizarin Crimson, which is a nice dark red, really rich red. Add little highlights in there now. I'm going to put a little more. These are showing those far off clouds. Now wet the brush a little bit and smooth out some of these shapes here. Make it a little softer. Those are the far off clouds, way off in the distance. And the sun is shining on those, so that makes them darker than the rest of the sky. And I think what I'll do is put some more. When you see a sunrise or see a sunset or sunrise, the most important, most predominant color is going to be the oranges and reds. Okay. Let me soften up some of these far off. I don't want any sharp edges too far. I want it to be a soft edges. So I'm smoothing out the edges with just plain water on the brush. Okay. And now I'm going to repeat some of that now. Now the painting, this painting is called Sunset Water Reflections. So the rest of the story here is putting a little bit of just a reflection here that kind of repeats what's up there in the sky, but not exactly, because we got a reflection on water, so you're just going to get a hint of some of that colors, not everything. And maybe a touch of the Alizarin Crimson. Not as much. Everything's a little bit less defined here in the water. Okay, a little bit less defined, but there are reflections from the sky, so the colors are going to show up on the water. Okay, from the sun. Okay, now I'm going to go in now. Let's make a few modifications. I'm going to use a bigger brush here. That's number 6 rounds too small. Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah. The greens are very hard. The mixture. If you mix greens, you're going to get a more beautiful mixture. The comment there is beautiful colors, especially the greens. Yes, the greens are always something here in this landscape here. I try to mix my colors because the palette colors are a good place to start, but then you have to modify them a little bit because they're too saturated. Saturated means they're all mixed. They're mixed in to make a strong color, but not necessarily a good color for what you're trying to paint. Okay, so you try to desaturate some of that color by mixing it with another color. And I mix blues with the green. I mix yellows with the green, depending on if I want to go dark or light. Now this section in here now, just a little bit of change. So I'm going to use that burnt sienna. Just burnt sienna and loosen it up, lighten up a little bit there. Just a touch, not any orange in here. I just want to put maybe a touch of green with it. And I'm going to go in here now and put just a little texture in this because it's grass. So a little rough strokes, which means I'm just dragging the brush over, just scraping it over top of this, kind of breaking up the that shape a little, the color just a little bit. They give a little texture. And then this forward here, I'm going to put a little more orange in that now because the sun's hitting this foreground here a little bit. So I can put a little more orange in here. Well, I think I'll get the smaller brush. A little more orange in this forward area here because the sun is hitting it more. I'm going to take some of that Quinacridone Gold and I'm going to hit. I'm going to leave a little white, a little bit of that lighter area show, but I'm going to fill in some of these areas. So just be lights and darks. Give me a little sparkle in here. I want a little lights and darks, but not so brilliant there. Okay. Okay. And before I leave there, now the last thing I want to do here, before I'm going to finish off the foreground and do a little more work on, but I got to put a shadow pattern here. There's a reflection in the water, so I'm going to take a little bit of this blue. And I'm going to put a reflection here in the water. This will have a little reflection from this tree line. And I'm going to leave a little bit of highlights along the shoreline. That's reflected light from the sun, from the sky on the shoreline. It'll show up lighter. The reflections down here of the tree line into the water right here. And then pick up some of that darker green. I mixed a little bit of blue in with that. And it'll be a little shadow, it'll be a little reflection here on this tree line here. Okay, leave that alone. And this section in here of the tall grass, I can put some reflection here also. A little reflection off the top of this. Just a hint of a reflection going in there. And this last one, a real short reflection here, but there is a reflection off this side right here. Okay. Then I'll take a little, I think I'll take a little darker green, a little bit of blue in here. I'm going to put a little bit of, just doing some rough brush strokes up here, kind of break it up. These are branches and leaves. Really, it's a evergreen, but I can just make some marks in here showing that there were some variations of greens there. And then down here at the front, I've got a number 4 rigger brush. It's a synthetic brush from Holbein, and I can go ahead and here mix up a little bit of green and brown. And maybe a little bit of blue. And I can go in here now. At the foreground now, I'm going to have tall grass, so I'll come in here. And I'm going to make them darker now. There'll be some lights and darks. I want them to point toward the that sunlight. Emphasize the sunlight coming in. I don't want to lose those light ones in there, or can be forward. Some of these are back in the background or behind, so I'll show those as being in shadow. Not too much emphasis over in the corner. Not too much emphasis over here. More detail and more emphasis here in the center part, which is where I want your eyes to go, up here. A little more over here, a few more brush strokes over here. Yeah, this rigger does a nice job on getting a nice pointed shape. Could be tall grass, poles. It does a lot of work. Sailboats. Now I'll have some grass going the other way, not all going the same direction. So kind of mix it up a little bit. This is really thick up here. There's thick grass in front. So now we're just kind of mixing up a little bit. Okay, one more brushwork. Just gonna take a load of green and blue, maybe a little bit of brown. Not too much. Not this too much. Too much. And go in here and just kind of darken this up a little bit, because I want this to be a dark foreground. So some more shadows. Give a little rough texture up here. A little more texture up here in the foreground, just a little bit. Even some more darker weeds back in here. Give it some depth. Okay. Okay. Let's put a mat around it. Let's see. And put a mat around it. Okay, green one. Yeah. Let's put the green around it. I'll change my mat, put a green one on it, put the green, that fits a little bit better. Okay, that fits a little bit better, yeah. Okay, wow. Yep, got the sunlight coming through, and it depends on how you frame something, where you put a frame on it. Here I'm using a dark frame mat board around the painting, so it makes that yellow really pop out. With a dark blue would make it come forward. Using the opposite color blue, this is green, but opposite color blue would make that yellow and orange come forward. Really pop off the painting. All right, that concludes my demonstration. This is a demonstration painting of a sunset water reflection, and I think it turned out well. And I think I got the sunlight coming in with lots of oranges, nice blue, purple sky up here in the beginning. And then the reflection into the water, and the area in here of the sunrise, sunsets. It could be a sunset coming in, hitting the water, reflecting. All right, let's go to my.
The consensus was the green mat.
The
consensus was the green.
Oh,
mat.
okay. Thank you for your input on that one. All right, let me come to the main camera. Okay, Everett Watercolors. That was a good exercise. Number one, skies can be tricky and can be a challenge, but I recommend trying those. I mean, that's a large space, a bigger piece of paper, and so forth, and especially a sunset or sunrise. You need a variety of color. And you got clouds you got to think about, and you got to think about where's the light going to hit, and then is it going to reflect, and so forth. And everything around it, the water, the trees, anything that's around is going to also reflect the light, or the light's going to affect that area. So I really enjoyed that. It was starting out with a cloudy, overcast weekend last weekend. At least getting some elements. I got the elements I wanted, the background and the trees and so forth, and the water. But I didn't have the light, so I had to make the light up. Okay, I'll be back again next Thursday for Everett Watercolors on Thursday. And, all right, I thank you, dear. Next Thursday at 2 o'clock, another Everett Watercolors art demonstration. And if you want to paint along with this and try it out and do some skies, and you want to share your efforts on my Facebook page, Everett Watercolors Art Group on Facebook. And you can post it on there and share it with some of the other artists that are on there that can look at it. And I'll look at it myself. So thank you for joining up. Thank you for the questions, comments. And we had lots of comments today. I really liked that. Did we miss anything?
No. We covered everything.
Okay. And thank you for signing in. And also, don't forget to subscribe to my channel and give me a like and a thumbs up, and helps in my rating. I'll be on this evening at 7:30 with Simply Drawing with Everett. That's I'll do a drawing class. It's shorter than this. But I'll do a drawing class, and I've been doing that for quite a while also. 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Everett's Simply Drawing with Everett. And then I do a little quick, anyone can draw with one line. I put out a little video on Sunday. But if you're subscribed to my channel, you'll get notification of all those. So until next week, you all stay safe. It's getting warmer outside, so get your air conditioning set up and get ready. So we'll see you next week, and see you on my next video. Bye.